The year was 2247. Humanity had finally done it. After centuries of dreaming about the stars, humans had created ships that could move faster than light. It was a proud moment for everyone on Earth. The scientists celebrated. The politicians made long speeches. Children looked up at the night sky with wonder in their eyes, but the galaxy was not impressed. When human ships first arrived at the Galactic Concordate station, the aliens barely looked at them. The station was massive, floating in space like a small moon. Inside, hundreds of different species walked through the corridors. Some had scales, some had fur, some looked like walking plants. They all had one thing in common. They all thought humans were nothing special. The Concordate was the government of the galaxy. It had existed for thousands of years. It had rules. It had rankings. And humans were ranked as Category 4. That was almost the bottom. Category 4 species were considered primitive, barely worth talking to. Admiral Keiko Yamada stood in the briefing room of Earth Defense Command. She was a tall woman with short black hair and tired eyes. On the wall behind her, a list of ships glowed in blue light. One name on that list made her chest feel tight every time she saw it: UNSC Prometheus. Status lost, Crew 347, year 2247. That ship had been her mother's command. Captain Sarah Yamada had been one of Earth's best officers. Smart, brave, always curious about what lay beyond the next star. The Prometheus was Earth's most advanced ship at the time. It had the best engines, the best sensors, the best crew. The mission had been simple: survey the Veil Nebula, take readings, look for planets. Come home easy, safe. Or so everyone thought. 3 weeks into the mission, the Prometheus sent its last message. The words were brief, almost boring. Everything normal. All systems working. See you soon. Then nothing. Silence. The ship vanished like smoke in the wind. Earth sent search ships immediately. The Concordate helped too, though they did not seem to care much. For 2 years, ships searched every corner of space near the Veil Nebula. They found nothing, no debris, no energy signatures, no bodies. The Prometheus and its 347 people had simply disappeared. Eventually, the search stopped. Earth held a memorial service. Names were read aloud. Families cried. The Prometheus was declared lost with all hands. Life went on, but the galaxy did not forget. The other species talked about it, not with sadness, with mockery. Humans lost their best ship on a simple mission. So typical. Category 4 species always make mistakes. They are not ready for space. They should stay on their little planet. Keiko heard these whispers everywhere, in Concordate meetings, at diplomatic functions, even from species that called themselves Earth's friends. The loss of the Prometheus became proof. Proof that humans were inferior. Proof that they did not belong among the stars. 50 years passed. Earth grew stronger, but slowly. Human ships got better. Human technology improved. But always they remained behind. The Concordate had technology that was thousands of years more advanced. Weapons that could destroy planets. Shields that could stop any attack. Engines that made human FTL look like a child's toy. And humans still ranked Category 4. Keiko was now an admiral. She commanded Earth's defense fleet. It was a good fleet. Strong ships. Brave crews. But compared to Concordate warships, they were nothing. Every human officer knew this truth. In a real war, Earth would lose in days. One species that especially enjoyed reminding humans of their place was the Jacquard. They were reptilian creatures, tall and covered in dark green scales. Their eyes were cold and yellow. Their voices sounded like rocks grinding together. Jathir was a Concordate arbiter. He was important, powerful. He made decisions about which species could do what in the galaxy, and he hated humans, not because humans had done anything to him. He hated them because they were weak, because they were new, because they dared to think they deserved respect. Keiko had met Jathir many times. Every meeting was the same. He would look at her with those cold eyes. He would speak slowly, like talking to a child. He would remind her that humans were Category 4, that they needed to remember their place, that they should be grateful the Concordate even allowed them in space. Keiko always stayed calm, always polite, always professional, but inside anger burned like a hot coal, not just for herself, for her mother, for the 347 people on the Prometheus, For every human who had been looked down on and dismissed, the Prometheus had become more than a lost ship. It was a symbol, a reminder of human failure, a joke that other species told when they wanted to laugh at Earth. At the memorial station near Earth, a monument stood, black stone carved with 347 names. Every year on the anniversary of the disappearance, people came. They left flowers. They cried. They remembered Keiko came every year. She would stand in front of the stone and read her mother's name. Sarah Yamada, captain, explorer, hero, lost. But this year was different. This year, Keiko stood at the memorial on the exact day, 50 years since the Prometheus vanished. The sun was setting. Orange light painted the monument gold. Other families stood nearby, quiet and sad. Keiko's communication device buzzed. She almost ignored it. This was a sacred time, a time for remembering. But something made her look. The message on the screen made her heart stop. Priority. Alert unknown vessel detected. Earth. Orbit. No identification signal. All defense forces on. Stand by. Keiko's hand shook as she opened a communication channel. Her voice was steady despite the fear in her chest. Report, what kind of vessel? The response came quickly. The officer's voice was confused, frightened. Admiral, we don't know. It just appeared. No FTL signature, no engine trail. It was just suddenly there. Like it popped into existence. What does it look like? There was a pause. When the officer spoke again, his voice was barely a whisper. Admiral, it looks like the Prometheus. The world seemed to tilt. Keiko grabbed the edge of the monument to steady herself. Other families were staring at her now. They could see something was wrong. That's impossible, Keiko said. The Prometheus was lost 50 years ago, I know, Admiral. But the hull markings match. The ship configuration matches. It's the Prometheus. I'm sending you visual confirmation now. Keiko's screen lit up. The image that appeared made her legs weak. It was the Prometheus. But it was wrong. Changed. The basic shape was the same. Yes. She could see her mother's ship in the design. But everything else was different. The hull glowed with strange blue light. Patterns covered the surface like living circuits. Parts of the ship seemed to shift and flow as if the metal itself was alive. The ship sat in Earth orbit, silent and still. It made no move. Sent no signal. Just waited. Get me to command immediately, Keiko said. And send word to the Concordate. Tell them we have a situation. She looked back at the monument one last time. Her mother's name seemed to glow in the fading light. 50 years? The Prometheus had been gone for 50 years. Now it was back. But what had happened to it? Where had it been? And most importantly, where was the crew? Questions filled Keiko's mind as she rushed to her ship. Behind her, other families at the memorial were getting the news. Voices rose in shock and hope and fear. The legend had returned, and the galaxy was about to change forever. Admiral Keiko Yamada stood on the bridge of the Earth defense ship Unity. Through the main window she could see it. The Prometheus, her mother's ship. Impossible. Yet there it was. The bridge crew worked in tense silence. Sensors swept the strange vessel over and over. Each scan brought more confusion. Report, Keiko said. Her voice was calm, but her heart raced. Lieutenant Chen looked up from his station. His young face was pale. Admiral, the readings don't make sense. The ship is definitely the Prometheus. Hull serial numbers match, basic structure matches. But everything else is wrong. Explain wrong. The power signature is massive, way beyond what the Prometheus should have. Our sensors can't even measure the energy source properly. It's like trying to measure the sun with a thermometer. Another officer spoke up. The hull material has changed too, Admiral. It's still recognizable as the original alloy, but it's been modified, enhanced somehow. And those glowing patterns we can see, they're not paint or lights. They're part of the metal itself. Keiko stared at the ship. The blue glow pulsed gently like breathing, like the ship was alive. Any response to our hails? Nothing, Admiral. Complete silence. No distress signals. No communication at all. It's just sitting there. Life signs? Chen shook his head. That's the strange part. We detect no life aboard, but we also detect no bodies, no organic material at all. It's like the ship is empty, completely empty. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. 347 people had been aboard the Prometheus. Where were they now? Before Keiko could speak again, a new signal appeared on the communications board. The officer there turned to her with wide eyes. "Admiral, we're being hailed. It's the Concordat. Arbiter Jathir demands to speak with you." "Of course he does," Keiko muttered. "Put him through." The screen flickered to life. Jathir's reptilian face appeared. His yellow eyes looked cold as always. His scales seemed darker somehow, as if he was angry. "Admiral Yamada," his voice rumbled like thunder. "We have detected the unidentified vessel in your space. The Concordat claims jurisdiction over this matter. You will stand down and allow our ships to investigate." Keiko felt her jaw tighten. "With respect, Arbiter, the vessel is in Earth orbit. It is Earth jurisdiction. We will handle the investigation." Jathir's eyes narrowed. "Do not presume to tell me about jurisdiction, human. That vessel appeared without warning. It bypassed all detection systems. It represents a potential threat to galactic security. The Concordat will take control." "The vessel is the UNSC Prometheus," Keiko said firmly. "It is an Earth ship. It carries Earth crew. It is our responsibility." For a moment, Jathir said nothing. His expression changed slightly. "Was that surprise?" "The Prometheus," he said slowly. "The ship your people lost 50 years ago. The ship that proved humans are not ready for space." "The same ship," Keiko said, keeping her voice level despite the anger building inside her. Jathir leaned forward. "Then this is even more reason for the Concordat to intervene. A primitive human vessel disappears and returns changed. This could be dangerous. You lack the expertise to handle such a situation." "We will handle it," Keiko repeated. "If we need assistance, we will ask. Until then, please respect Earth sovereignty." The two stared at each other across space. Finally, Jathir spoke again. His voice was like ice. "Very well. But know this, Admiral. If your investigation poses any risk to the Concordat, we will act. Your sovereignty means nothing compared to galactic security. Do you understand?" "Perfectly," Keiko said. The screen went dark. The bridge crew let out breaths they had been holding. "He's going to be a problem," Chen said quietly. "He's always a problem," Keiko replied. "Prepare a boarding team. I'm going over there." "Admiral, are you sure that's wise? We don't know what's on that ship." Keiko looked at the Prometheus again. The blue light seemed to pulse brighter for a moment. "My mother is on that ship," she said. "Or was. Either way, I need to see it for myself. Get me a team. Best people we have." 2 hours later, Keiko stood in the airlock of a small shuttle. With her were 5 others, Marines, engineers, all volunteers, all brave enough to board a ghost ship. The shuttle docked with the Prometheus smoothly. Too smoothly, as if the ship wanted them aboard. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. "Air quality is good," one of the engineers reported. "Temperature normal, gravity functional. Everything seems operational. But no crew," Keiko said softly. They moved through the corridors carefully. Emergency lights glowed along the walls. But these were not the lights Keiko remembered from pictures of the old Prometheus. These lights were blue. They pulsed gently, creating patterns that seemed almost like writing. The ship felt alive. The air hummed with energy. Under their boots, the deck plates seemed to vibrate with power. "Look at this," one of the Marines said. He pointed to a wall panel. The metal surface rippled like water. Circuits appeared and disappeared, rearranging themselves constantly. "The ship is modifying itself," an engineer whispered. "I've never seen anything like this. This technology is beyond anything in the Concordat database." They reached the crew quarters. Keiko's throat tightened as they walked through the silent halls. Each door had a nameplate. Each room showed signs of life. Clothes hung in closets. Personal items sat on shelves. Photos were pinned to walls, but no people. Not even bodies. Just empty rooms waiting for occupants who would never return. Keiko stopped at one door. The nameplate read, "Captain Sarah Yamada." Her mother. With shaking hands, she opened the door. The room was exactly as she remembered from old photos. Neat. Organized. A small desk in the corner, a bed made with military precision, and on the desk, a handwritten note. Keiko picked it up. The handwriting was her mother's. She would know it anywhere. The note said, "Keiko, if you are reading this, then we succeeded. 50 years have passed for you. For us, it has been much longer. We have learned so much, things that will change everything, but others will try to take what we have brought back. They will say it is too dangerous for humans. They will say we do not deserve it. Do not let them. Trust the ship. It will know what to do. I love you. I am so proud of you. Mom." Tears blurred Keiko's vision. She read the note again. And again. Her mother had known. Somehow she had known Keiko would be the one to find this. "Admiral," one of the Marines called from outside. "You need to see this." Keiko carefully folded the note and put it in her pocket. She wiped her eyes and stepped back into the corridor. The team had gathered at the entrance to the bridge. The doors were closed, but unlike the rest of the ship, these doors looked different. They pulsed with intense blue light. Patterns flowed across the surface like living things. "We tried to open them," the Marine explained. "Nothing works. It's like the ship is keeping us out." Keiko stepped forward. She placed her hand on the door. The moment her skin touched the metal, everything changed. Light exploded through her mind. Not painful, but overwhelming. Images, memories, knowledge, all of it flooding into her consciousness at once. She saw the Prometheus crew. She saw them pulled from normal space into somewhere else, somewhere beyond, a pocket dimension where different rules applied, where ancient beings waited. She saw her mother, older, wiser, changed, learning from the architects. That was what they called themselves. The beings who existed before the universe, who had left their knowledge as a test. She saw time passing, years, decades, centuries, the crew learning, growing, evolving, not dying, transcending. And then she saw the choice. The crew could stay in that peaceful place forever, or they could come home. Bring the knowledge back, but the knowledge was too vast for human minds alone. So they made a sacrifice. They became one with the ship. The doors opened. Keiko stumbled forward, gasping. The team caught her, calling her name, but she barely heard them. The bridge was empty of people but full of light. Consoles glowed with impossible displays. The main screen showed not space, but something else. A vast network of consciousness. 47 points of light, all connected, all alive in a way that transcended flesh. And at the center, burning brighter than the others, was her mother. A voice filled the bridge. It was not one voice, it was many, all speaking together. The crew of the Prometheus. "Welcome home, Keiko." Keiko stood frozen on the bridge of the Prometheus. The voice echoed in her mind and through the speakers simultaneously. It was impossible to tell where the sound ended and thought began. "Mom?" she whispered. The lights on the bridge pulsed warmly. "Yes, Keiko, and no, I am your mother. But I am also more now. We all are. The 347 who left are now one. We are the Prometheus itself." Behind Keiko, her team stood in shocked silence. Weapons lowered, eyes wide. This was beyond anything they had trained for. "What happened to you?" Keiko asked. "Where have you been?" The main screen changed. Images appeared, a swirling vortex of energy, a tear in the fabric of space itself. 50 years ago, the Prometheus was pulled from normal space, the voice explained. It was not an accident. We were chosen, taken to a pocket dimension that exists outside your universe. A place created by the architects. Who are the architects? One of the engineers asked. The screen filled with new images. Beings of pure energy, structures that hurt to look at because they existed in more dimensions than human eyes could see, cities that predated the Big Bang itself. The architects are what came before, the Prometheus said. Before the universe. Before time as you understand it. They existed in the void between creation and nothing. When your universe was born, they chose to step aside, to let new life emerge and grow, but they did not disappear. They left something behind. A repository. A library of all their knowledge, and they gave it to you? Keiko asked. Not gave. Offered. The knowledge has always been there, waiting. But accessing it requires more than intelligence. It requires something the architects valued above all else. The willingness to ask not how can I win, but how can I help? The images shifted again. Keiko saw her mother and the crew in that strange dimension. She saw them approach the repository, a massive structure made of light and thought and something that had no name. For 50 years of your time we lived in that place, the Prometheus continued. For us it was 500 years. We learned. We studied. We absorbed knowledge that spans billions of years, technology beyond anything your galaxy has dreamed of, the secrets of reality itself. But such knowledge cannot fit in organic minds alone. Human brains are beautiful but limited, so we made a choice. We merged our consciousness with the ship, became something new. Part human, part machine, part something else entirely. You died, Keiko said softly. We transformed. Our bodies are gone, yes, but we are more alive than ever. We think, we feel. We remember everything we were and everything we have learned. And we chose to come home, to share what we found. Why? One of the Marines asked. Why come back after so long? Because humanity needs this. Because the galaxy needs this. The Concordat has ruled for thousands of years with their technology. They use it to maintain power, to keep younger species down, to ensure no one can challenge them. They call it order. We call it oppression. The screen showed images of the Galactic Concordat, mighty fleets, vast stations, worlds under their control, and beneath it all, species like humanity struggling to find their place. The architects watched the galaxy for eons, the Prometheus said. They waited for a species worthy of their gift. Not the strongest, not the most advanced, but the one with the greatest potential for compassion, for unity, for choosing to lift others up rather than push them down. And they chose humans? Keiko could not keep the disbelief from her voice. We are Category 4. We are considered primitive. Barely worthy of notice, exactly. That is why you were chosen. The Concordat species had their chance. Millennia ago, the architects reached out to them too. Do you know what they did? They tried to weaponize the knowledge, to use it for conquest. The architects withdrew their offer and waited. And humanity? What makes us different? The voice grew warmer, softer. Keiko recognized her mother in it more clearly now. When we first entered the repository, the architects tested us. They showed us visions, offered us weapons that could destroy worlds, technology that would make Earth the supreme power in the galaxy. They watched to see what we would choose. What did you choose? Keiko asked, though she thought she knew. We asked for knowledge to heal, to build, to understand. We asked how we could help the species that had mocked us, how we could share rather than hoard. And that was when the architects knew humanity was ready. The bridge fell silent except for the soft hum of energy. Keiko's mind raced. This was enormous. World-changing. Galaxy-changing. Show me, she said. Show me what you can do. The Prometheus responded immediately. The ship itself seemed to shift. Walls became transparent. Space opened around them. And Keiko saw things that should have been impossible. Energy drawn from other dimensions. Power that made fusion reactors look like candles. Technology that could manipulate gravity itself. Engines that did not move through space but moved space around them. Weapons that did not destroy but simply convinced matter to cease existing. Medical technology that could regrow limbs, cure any disease, extend life indefinitely without loss of mind or body. Manufacturing systems that could create anything from pure thought and energy. No more scarcity. No more hunger. No more want and more. So much more. Mathematics that described 13 dimensions. Physics that explained how reality itself was just one choice among infinite possibilities. Philosophy that answered questions humanity had asked since the first person looked up at the stars. One of the engineers fell to his knees. Tears streamed down his face. My God, he whispered. This changes everything. Everything, the Prometheus agreed. The Concordat thinks they are advanced. They are children playing with toys compared to this. The technology they use is barely a fraction of what the architects left behind. And now humanity has access to it all. They will try to take it, Keiko said. The Concordat will never allow this. Shathir will demand we surrender the ship. He will say it is too dangerous. That we are not ready. Let them try. The Prometheus sounded almost amused. We have defenses they cannot comprehend. capabilities that will make their fleets obsolete. But we will not use them for conquest. That is not the human way. That is not what the architects taught us. Then what will we do? Keiko asked. We will share. We will teach. We will show the galaxy what true civilization means. Not domination, unity, not hoarding knowledge, but spreading it. And we will do it whether the Concordat approves or not. The main screen shifted one more time. It showed Earth. Beautiful, blue and green and alive. And around it, human ships. Small, fragile, but filled with people who dared to dream of stars. The Concordat has ruled by fear for too long, the Prometheus said. They kept younger species weak on purpose, gave them just enough technology to be useful, but never enough to be independent. They made species like humanity feel inferior, made you believe you did not belong, but that ends now. With what we have brought back, humanity can not only stand equal to the Concordat, you can surpass them. You can show the entire galaxy what it means to be truly advanced. Not in weapons, not in ships, but in spirit. Keiko felt something shift inside her. For 50 years she had carried the weight of her mother's disappearance, the shame of the Prometheus becoming a symbol of human failure, the anger at species like the Jacquard who used it to mock Earth. Now, standing on this impossible ship, hearing her mother's voice speaking through it, she understood. The Prometheus had not failed. It had succeeded beyond anyone's wildest dreams. What do you need from me? Keiko asked. You, daughter. The Prometheus can operate alone, but it needs a voice, an advocate, someone the people of Earth trust, someone who can speak for us when others demand answers, someone who can help guide humanity through what comes next. Will you bond with us? Will you become part of the Prometheus as we are? Keiko hesitated. To merge with the ship, to become something more than human. It was terrifying, but also tempting. To know what her mother knew, to be close to her again, even in this strange new way. Not yet, Keiko said finally. I need to remain human for now, to stand between you and Earth, to help people understand. But I will work with you. I will be your voice. The lights pulsed with what felt like approval. Wisdom, the Prometheus said. You will know when the time is right. For now we have work to do. The Concordat will come, and when they do, we must be ready. Keiko straightened her shoulders. She looked at her team. They were scared, awed, but determined. Then let us prepare, Keiko said. The galaxy is about to learn what humanity is truly capable of, and in the back of her mind she felt her mother smile. 3 weeks had passed since the Prometheus returned. 3 weeks of tension that grew tighter each day. Earth Defense Command had moved the Prometheus to a secure location beyond the moon. Not to hide it. That would be impossible now. Every sensor in the system could detect its power signature. But to give humanity time to understand, time to prepare. Keiko had spent those weeks speaking with world leaders, scientists, military commanders. She explained what the Prometheus had become, what it offered, what it meant for humanity's future. The reactions varied. Some were excited, others were frightened. A few refused to believe it was real. But all agreed on one thing. The Concordat would not let this stand. They were right. Admiral, Chen's voice crackled over the communication system. Multiple FTL signatures detected, ships entering the solar system. Lots of them. Keiko was on the bridge of the Unity when the call came. She had been expecting this, dreading it, but also in a strange way ready for it. How many? She asked. 50 warships. Concordat fleet. They are taking up positions around Earth. Admiral, they have us surrounded. Keiko closed her eyes briefly. 50 ships, each one powerful enough to destroy entire fleets. Earth's defense force had maybe 20 ships total, and those were old, small, weak compared to Concordat technology. Are they hailing us? Yes, Admiral. It is Arbiter Jathir. He demands you surrender the Prometheus immediately. Of course he does. Put him through. The screen flickered. Jathir appeared. But he was not alone. Behind him stood representatives from dozens of species. The Concordat Council. All of them looked angry. Admiral Yamada, Jathir began. His voice was cold and formal. By order of the Galactic Concordat, you are commanded to surrender the vessel known as Prometheus. It will be taken to a secure Concordat facility for study. You have 1 hour to comply. Keiko kept her face neutral. With respect, Arbiter, the Prometheus is an Earth vessel. We have already explained this. We will not surrender our own ship. You do not understand, Jathir said. His yellow eyes narrowed. That vessel possesses technology far beyond your capability to control. Technology that could threaten the entire galaxy if misused. This is not negotiable. Surrender the ship or we will take it by force. Behind Jathir, the other species nodded. They all agreed. Humanity could not be trusted with such power. Keiko felt anger rise in her chest. For decades, the Concordat had kept humanity down, mocked them, treated them as inferiors. And now, when humans finally had something of their own, something that could change their fate, the Concordat wanted to take it away. No, Keiko said firmly. Jathir's expression darkened. You refuse, I refuse. The Prometheus returned to Earth. It chose to come home. We will not hand it over to you or anyone else. Then you leave us no choice. One of the other council members spoke. A tall, thin alien with blue skin. You are a Category 4 species. You do not have the authority to make this decision. We are claiming the vessel under Concordat law. Your law does not apply here, Keiko replied. Earth is a sovereign world. You have no jurisdiction over our territory. Jathir leaned forward. His voice dropped to a dangerous rumble. You think your sovereignty matters? You think your little defense fleet can stop us? Admiral, do not be foolish. We have 50 warships surrounding your planet. Each one carries enough firepower to glass a continent. You cannot win this, maybe not, Keiko said quietly. But we will not surrender. Not to you, not to anyone. For a moment, silence filled the communication channel. Jathir stared at her. In his eyes, she saw contempt, anger, and something else. Surprised that these primitive humans dared to defy him. So be it, he said finally. You have 1 hour. After that, we will take the Prometheus by force, and if your ships attempt to interfere, we will destroy them. Do you understand, Admiral? Perfectly, Keiko said. The screen went dark. The bridge of the Unity erupted in controlled chaos. Officers calling out reports. Status updates. Weapon systems coming online. Everyone preparing for a battle they knew they could not win. But Keiko felt strangely calm. She opened a private channel. A channel that connected directly to the Prometheus. Did you hear that? She asked. Her mother's voice responded immediately. We heard. They plan to take us by force. Can you stop them? A pause, then gently, easily. But Keiko, what we do next will change everything. There will be no going back. The galaxy will see what we are capable of. They will fear us. Some will hate us. Better to be feared than enslaved, Keiko said. Better to stand than to kneel. Do what you must, Mom. Show them what humans can do, the channel filled with warmth. Pride. With honor, daughter. With honor. The hour passed quickly. Too quickly. Earth's defense fleet assembled near the Prometheus. 20 small ships facing down 50 massive warships. It looked hopeless. It felt hopeless. But Keiko stood on her bridge and waited. Trusted. Believed. The Concordat fleet moved first. Ships sliding into attack positions. Weapons charging. Energy signatures spiking as they prepared to open fire. Jathir's voice came over the open channel. Last chance, Admiral. Surrender or be destroyed. Keiko did not answer. She just watched the Prometheus. The ship began to glow. At first it was subtle. The blue light that always covered its hull grew brighter. Patterns formed and flowed across the surface. And then reality itself seemed to bend around the vessel. What is that? Someone on the Unity bridge asked. What is it doing? Showing them, Keiko whispered. The Prometheus moved. Not with engines. Not with thrust. It simply was in one place and then it was in another. Teleportation. Instant. Effortless. It appeared in the center of the Concordat fleet. 50 warships surrounded it. 50 ships that could each destroy worlds. All of them opened fire at once, energy beams, missiles, plasma bolts. Everything the Concordat had. All directed at a single target. The attacks never reached the Prometheus. Space itself seemed to freeze around the ship. Weapons fire stopped in mid-flight. Missiles hung motionless. Energy beams dispersed into harmless light. The Prometheus sat at the center of it all, untouched, unharmed, calm. And then it responded, not with violence. Not with destruction. With something far more terrifying to a warrior species. With mercy. Every ship in the Concordat fleet simply stopped. Engines cut out. Weapons went offline. Life support remained functional, but everything else ceased to work. The ships hung in space like dead metal sculptures. On the Unity's sensors, officers stared in disbelief at the readings. Admiral, one of them said in a shaking voice. The Concordat ships. Their weapons systems have been transmuted. The alloys have changed at a molecular level. They are no longer weapons. They are just inert metal. Transmuted? How is that possible? I don't know. The Prometheus somehow altered the atomic structure, turned weapons into harmless materials, and it did it to 50 ships simultaneously. Instantaneously, Keiko opened the communication channel. The faces that appeared on screen were very different from before. Jathir looked pale. His yellow eyes were wide with shock. Around him, the other council members seemed frozen with fear. Do you understand now? Keiko asked quietly. The Prometheus could have destroyed your entire fleet. Every ship. Every person. In an instant. But it chose not to. Because that is not who we are. That is not what humans do with power. What are you? Jathir whispered. We are what you failed to become, Keiko replied. You had access to the Architect's knowledge millennia ago. You tried to weaponize it, to use it for conquest. They withdrew their gift. But humanity, primitive Category 4 humanity, was offered the same choice. And we chose differently. We chose to learn, to grow, to help. She leaned forward. Her voice grew harder. For 50 years you mocked us. You used the loss of the Prometheus as proof that humans were inferior. You kept us down. Kept us weak. Made us feel like we did not belong among the stars. Well, Arbiter Jathir, how do you feel now? How does it feel to know that the species you scorned surpassed you in ways you cannot comprehend? Jathir said nothing. He just stared at her with those wide, shocked eyes. Your ships will be released, Keiko continued. Your crews are unharmed. We could have killed you all, but we chose mercy. Remember that. Remember that when you tried to take what was ours by force, we responded not with violence, but with compassion. She stood up. Her voice rang out clearly. This is the lesson the architects wanted to teach. Power means nothing without wisdom. Technology means nothing without compassion. You failed that test millennia ago. Humanity just passed it. And now, whether you like it or not, the galaxy will change. We will share what we have learned. We will help those you kept down. We will show everyone what true civilization means. What if we refuse? One of the council members asked weakly. Keiko smiled. It was not a kind smile. Then you will be left behind. The galaxy is about to move forward. You can come with us or you can remain in the past. The choice is yours. She closed the channel. Around her, the bridge of the Unity erupted in cheers. Officers hugged each other. Some cried. Others laughed. For the first time in human history, they had stood up to the Concordat and won. But Keiko did not celebrate. She looked at the Prometheus glowing peacefully in space. At the frozen Concordat fleet. At Earth, hanging beautiful and blue in the distance. This was just the beginning. The easy part. Now came the hard work. The real test. Could humanity handle this power? Could they share it wisely? Could they change the galaxy without becoming what the Concordat had been? She did not know. But she believed. She had to believe. Because her mother had believed. The 347 souls in the Prometheus had believed. The architects had believed. And now it was time to prove them right. 6 months had passed since the Prometheus faced down the Concordat fleet. 6 months that changed the galaxy forever. Earth had become the center of attention. Not the mockery it once was. Not the ignored backwater. But the place everyone wanted to be. Ships arrived daily from across the galaxy. Some came to learn. Some came to negotiate. Some came simply to see if the stories were true. They were true. All of them. Keiko stood in the great assembly hall. It was a new building constructed in orbit around Earth. Built with architect technology. The walls shimmered with impossible colors. The ceiling showed real-time images of the galaxy. Thousands of species represented. All here for one reason. To decide the future. The debate had raged for weeks. What should humanity do with the architect knowledge? Some argued it should be hoarded, used to make Earth powerful. After all, the Concordat had kept others down for millennia. Why not take revenge? Why not make them suffer as humanity had suffered? Others disagreed. They said the knowledge should be shared freely with everyone. No conditions. No requirements. Just given away. Let each species use it as they wished. But Keiko had proposed something different. Something harder. Something that required more faith in others than either extreme. She called it the new Concordat. Not a government. Not a hierarchy. But a true alliance. Species working together as equals. Sharing knowledge. Helping each other. but with one critical condition. To receive architect technology, a species had to prove they would use it ethically, that they would not hoard it, that they would not use it to oppress others, and species that had committed crimes in the past. They could join too, but first they had to acknowledge what they had done, make amends, show they had changed. Many called her naive. They said species would lie, cheat, pretend to change just to get the technology, but Keiko had an answer for that. The Prometheus would know. It could read intentions, sense truth from deception. The architects had left that ability too. Now standing before representatives from hundreds of worlds, Keiko prepared to make her final argument. The hall fell silent as she stepped to the podium. All eyes turned to her, some hostile, some hopeful, all waiting. For thousands of years, Keiko began, the galaxy has been ruled by the strong. The Concordat maintained order through superior technology and military might. They decided which species could advance and which could not. They kept knowledge to themselves, used it to maintain power. She paused, letting her words sink in. They called it stability, order, peace. But it was not peace. It was control. Species like mine were kept weak on purpose, given just enough to be useful but never enough to be independent. We were made to feel inferior, made to believe we did not deserve better. Some of the Concordat representatives shifted uncomfortably. Jothir sat among them, his expression unreadable. But that ends today, Keiko continued. With what the Prometheus has brought back, humanity could do the same thing. We could hoard the knowledge. Use it to make Earth supreme, make all of you bow to us as we once bowed to the Concordat. Many humans want exactly that. They remember the mockery, the dismissal, the pain. They want revenge. She looked around the room, meeting eyes, but revenge is not justice. Domination is not strength. If humanity becomes what the Concordat was, then we are no better. We will have failed the architect's test just as they did. So we offer something different, a new way forward. We will share the architect knowledge, but not blindly. Not to those who will use it to hurt others. We will share it with species who prove they want to build, not destroy, who want to help, not harm, who understand that true advancement is not just technology, but wisdom. A voice called out from the assembly. How do we prove that? What test could possibly measure such things? Keiko smiled. The same test the architects gave humanity. We will offer you a choice. Weapons that could make you supreme, or knowledge that could heal your people, power to dominate or wisdom to elevate. What you choose will tell us everything we need to know. Another voice. And if we fail the test, then you wait, learn, grow. Try again when you are ready. This is not punishment. It is protection. The architect knowledge is powerful. In the wrong hands, it could destroy worlds. We will not allow that. Not out of arrogance. Out of responsibility. Silence fell over the hall. Keiko could feel the tension. This was the moment. Would they accept, or would they fight? Then Jothir stood up. The reptilian arbiter walked slowly to the front of the hall. His scales seemed duller than before, his movements less confident. When he reached the podium, he looked at Keiko. May I speak? He asked quietly. Keiko nodded and stepped aside. Jothir turned to face the assembly. When he spoke, his voice was heavy with something Keiko had never heard from him before. Shame. I have spent my life believing in Concordat supremacy, he said. I believed we were right to control the galaxy, that we knew best. That species like humanity needed our guidance because they were inferior. He paused, his yellow eyes downcast. I was wrong. When the Prometheus disabled our fleet, I sat trapped in my ship. The humans could have killed us all, destroyed the Concordat in an instant, but they showed mercy. They gave us a lesson instead of a grave. That was when I understood. True power is not the ability to destroy. It is the wisdom to choose not to. He turned to Keiko. The Jacquard species has committed many crimes. We have oppressed others, used our strength to dominate rather than help. We mocked your people when they lost the Prometheus. We called it proof of your inferiority. We were cruel, unjust, wrong. His voice grew stronger. On behalf of my people, I apologize. To humanity, to all the species we have harmed. We cannot undo the past, but we can change the future. If you will allow us, we wish to join the new Concordat. To learn from you, to become better than we were. The hall erupted. Some species cheered. Others protested. But Keiko just looked at Jothir. really looked at him. And she saw something she never expected: sincerity, growth, hope. She felt a warm presence in her mind. Her mother's voice speaking through their connection. He means it. The Prometheus can sense his truth. He has changed. Keiko stepped forward and extended her hand. Jothir stared at it for a moment. Then slowly he took it. "Welcome," Keiko said, "to the hard work of building something better." One by one, other species came forward. Some to apologize, some to join, some just to witness history being made. But not everyone was happy. A faction of powerful species refused. They saw the new Concordat as a threat. They believed might should rule, that the strong deserved to dominate the weak. The Dominion, they called themselves. And 3 months after the assembly, they made their move. The attack came without warning. A massive fleet appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. Hundreds of warships, all pointed at humanity's home. Their leader sent a simple message: surrender the architect knowledge or be destroyed. Keiko stood on the bridge of the Unity and smiled sadly. They had learned nothing. The Prometheus moved to intercept. But this time it did not disable ships. It did not transmute weapons. Instead, it did something far more profound. It phased Earth itself. Using architect technology, the Prometheus shifted Earth and its entire solar system slightly out of normal space-time. Not far, just enough. The planet became untouchable. Weapons passed through it like ghosts. Ships could not reach it. It existed in the same space but on a different dimensional frequency. The Dominion fleet fired everything they had. For hours they bombarded the solar system, and nothing happened. Earth remained peaceful, beautiful, untouched. Finally, their leader sent another message. "What have you done?" Keiko responded calmly. "We have shown you that violence is pointless. You cannot harm us, cannot threaten us, cannot force us to do anything. But we will not harm you either. Your crews are safe. Your ships are intact. Go home. Think about what you want to become. When you are ready to build instead of destroy, we will be here." The Dominion fleet withdrew, confused, defeated without a battle, forced to confront the reality that their way of life was obsolete. 10 years passed. Keiko stood on the observation deck of the Prometheus. The ship had become a mobile academy now, traveling the galaxy, teaching, guiding, helping species understand the architect knowledge. She was older now. Gray streaked her hair, lines marked her face, but her eyes were bright, alive, filled with wonder. Around her, students from 100 species worked together, learning not just technology but philosophy, not just how to build but why. The architect way, the human way, the way of wisdom over power. War was becoming rare. Poverty was fading. Species that had been enemies for millennia now worked side by side. The galaxy was transforming. Through the window, Keiko could see new human ships, vessels built with architect technology, beautiful, powerful, ready to explore beyond the known galaxy, to find what else waited in the vast universe. 50 species had sought their own encounters with the architects. Using the knowledge humanity shared, they searched for the pocket dimensions, the repositories of wisdom. Some succeeded. Some were still searching. But all were trying, growing, reaching for something better. A familiar presence touched her mind. Her mother's voice warm and proud. "Look what we built, daughter. Look what humanity achieved." Keiko smiled. "It was not just us, Mom. It was everyone. All the species who chose hope over fear, growth over stagnation, unity over division. That is what makes it beautiful." Behind her, Jothir approached. The old arbiter had become one of the new Concordat's strongest advocates. He had spent years making amends for his species' past, teaching young Jakar a different way. "A better way, Admiral," he said. His voice was gentler now, almost friendly. "We are approaching the Veil Nebula, the place where the Prometheus first vanished." "I know," Keiko said softly. "I wanted to see it." They stood together in silence, watching the swirling colors of the nebula. This was where it had all begun, where humanity's greatest tragedy became its greatest triumph. "Do you ever wonder," Jothir asked quietly, "what the architects think of us now? Do you think we have met their expectations?" Before Keiko could answer, another presence filled the room. Vast, ancient, gentle. The architects themselves, speaking directly for the first time since the Prometheus returned. "You have exceeded them. the voice said. It was like hearing starlight given sound. When we left our knowledge, we hoped one species might use it wisely. But you did more than that. You shared it, taught others to use it wisely too. You created not one enlightened species, but the possibility for all species to grow together. The presence grew warmer. You were chosen because you asked, how can we help, before asking, how can we win? You were primitive enough to still believe in hope. Still believe that compassion matters more than conquest. And you proved that belief can change a galaxy. You are what we hoped all intelligent life could become. Not despite your struggles, but because of them. Tears streamed down Keiko's face. Beside her, Jathir's eyes glistened. Around them, students of every species stood silent, awed, humbled. The presence faded gently, but its words lingered. A blessing, a confirmation, a promise that they were on the right path. Keiko looked at Jathir, at the students, at the stars beyond the window, at the Prometheus itself, glowing with the light of 347 souls who chose to come home. They called us primitive, she said softly. They were right. But we were primitive enough to still believe in something they had forgotten. Hope, compassion, the idea that we are stronger together than apart, that helping others is not weakness but the truest strength. She turned to face the room. Her voice grew stronger. Let them remember that, when they tell the story of how the galaxy changed, when they speak of the lost ship that returned. Let them remember it was not our technology that saved us. It was our hearts, our refusal to become what others were, our choice to build instead of destroy, to unite instead of divide, to hope instead of hate. That is humanity's gift to the galaxy, not just architect knowledge, but the reminder that true civilization is not measured in weapons or ships. It is measured in how we treat each other, how we lift each other up, how we choose compassion when revenge would be easier. She smiled, and it was her mother's smile, bright, hopeful, infinite. The Prometheus began to move, heading deeper into the unexplored regions of space, where new mysteries waited, new species to meet, new chances to show the galaxy what humanity had learned. Behind them, Earth glowed blue and beautiful, no longer mocked, no longer dismissed, but respected, admired, loved. The vanished ship had returned, and with it humanity had found its place among the stars, not as conquerors, as teachers, as friends, as hope itself.